I'll be reading from the December 1987 issue of Byte magazine, the Small Systems Journal. Pretty nice cover art here. Do you like the holes in the printer paper? Pretty creative because on the screen it's ones and zeros, but here it's actual letters. And before I go to the voice-to-text application, just a friendly reminder, make sure you are programming in the fast lane with Borland's new Turbo Pascal 4.0. I love this ad. So this is a really interesting article written by Gregg Williams in the First Impressions section. It's called Hypercard. Hypercard extends the Macintosh user interface and makes everybody a programmer. He begins by saying many people are confused by Apple's new program, Hypercard. If you ask 6 different Hypercard users what it is, you might get answers like these. I don't know exactly, person A says, but I started playing with it and I found I could keep my address book in it. I also keep my appointment book and to-do list with it. You can get from one of these things to another just by clicking on a little picture of it. Person B, it's something you have to have on disk to run these commercial programs they call stackware. I use it to run this really great personal finance program I bought at a computer store. Person C, it lets you write your own programs. I just wrote one that spells out words when my daughter clicks on them with the mouse. Person D publishes an in-house newsletter. It's really helped me organize my Macintosh clip art. I can link related pieces of artwork together and it can find them very fast. I'm a teacher, says person E. I bought a stackware program that controls a laser disc with all the images from the National Gallery of Art. I can't program, but I can rearrange the images in the order I want for my class. Our company writes Mac software, person F says, and we just canned a product we were working on, mostly because Hypercard already does the same thing. Hypercard's not too great on database management, though we're adding some new commands to Hypercard that will make it better for that. I guess we'll end up marketing it as stackware. Because Hypercard can be such different things to different people, it is hard to describe it accurately. To quote Apple's release, Hypercard is a personal toolkit that gives users the power to use, customize, and create new information using text, graphics, video, music, voice, and animation. So it offers a language-based scripting language called HyperTalk that gives users an opportunity to write their own programs. Some third-party software developers call it unfair competition that destroys the market for their products. Both groups are partly right and partly wrong. So it looks like Apple is bundling HyperCard free with every Macintosh Plus, Mac SE, and Mac 2 they sell. You need at least 1 megabyte of memory, the 128 kilobyte ROM, and either 2 800 byte floppy disk drives or 1 floppy disk drive plus a hard disk drive. Current Macintosh users can buy HyperCard 4 disks and a manual for $49. You can think of HyperCard as a stack of 3 by 5 inch index cards. A group of related cards and the file that contains them are collectively called a stack. You will also hear such a file being called stackware. HyperCard stores text in fields, which can be any of several types. A field contains text of one font, size, and style. Another important element of a card is that it contains buttons. Yes, these look like the same buttons you find throughout all Macintosh applications. Cards are 342 pixels high by 512 pixels wide, the same size as a Mac Plus screen. The About HyperCard box is 2 screens long and filled with names, but a few stand out. HyperCard is the brainchild of Bill Atkinson, creator of the Mac's internal quick draw code, and of Mac Paint. To make HyperCard practical in terms of size and speed, Atkinson developed proprietary algorithms for quick text searching and for the compression and decompression of graphic images. As an example of how fast it is, I created an address book stack with 4,200 addresses and phone numbers on it. The stack was 778 kilobytes. HyperCard found the desired data on the last card in the stack in exactly 2 seconds. Atkinson designed Hypercard so that it appears simple to novice users and powerful to sophisticated users. At the lower levels, menus shorten and disappear to make Hypercard look simpler. You can change the level you're in by clicking the appropriate radio button in the User Preferences card, which is the last one in the home stack. The first level is browsing, which lets you look through stacks created by others. It's very simple, and you can't do anything harmful to the stack. The cursor is a small pointing hand called the Browse tool, and you can browse through the cards by clicking on icons and by using the arrow keys and certain command keys. So figure 1 here is the home stack. Apple supplies Hypercard with 20 stacks, any of which you can jump to by clicking on its icon. Other cards in the home stack contain global information like your user level and the different search paths it should use when looking for files. Figure 2 here, the projects stack. The stack was created by the author to keep track of ongoing projects within Byte. The 2 icons at the bottom corners and the 4 text fields belong to the background and are shared by all the cards in the stack. The Link 1 button and Stick on Note field belong to this card only. See Figure 3 for an exploded view of this card's components. So here's Figure 3, card layers. This exploded view shows the logical units that combine to make a card. All background items are under their foreground counterparts and can be occluded with an O by them, as in the case with the card's Stick on Note field covering the background notes scrolling field. So stack background objects belonging only to this card. So notes field, author field. Very interesting. You can do some amazing things with this. For example, Apple supplies a clip art stack with invisible buttons over various subareas. Figure 4, Hypercard on a big screen Macintosh. If you have a display screen that is larger than a Hypercard, this image comes from a Mac 2, the card appears in a fixed size window, and you can use the extra space to show the message box. So that's bottom center, the tool menu, top right, and the patterns menu, bottom right. The last 2 items new to the Macintosh are tear off menus that can be called from the menu as usual or from an arbitrary position on the screen. Note that these 3 windows and the Hypercard window float above the background and can overlap. So here in the scripting section, scripting is the level at which you can examine and change the small programs called scripts that execute when you click a button. These scripts are written in an English-like language, HyperTalk, that is simple, elegant, and very powerful. Take, for example, the dial button on cards with the address stack. It looks for a valid phone number, first in a highlighted section of text, then in the message box. It then jumps to the phone stack, dials a number, and returns. The script that does this looks like this. So on mouse up, get the selection. If it is empty, then ask dial. So yeah, this is very English-like language. Well, down here it explains meta scripting. There's no official name for this hidden 6th way of using Hypercard, so I'm calling it meta scripting because of the way it extends scripting. It enables a Macintosh programmer to add new commands to HyperTalk. Here's how you do it. You write the appropriate code in C, Pascal, or assembly language, compile it without a header as a code resource of type xcmd, for message handlers, or XFCN for functions, and paste it into the resource fork on your stack, the home stack, system file, or Hypercard itself. Then you use that resource name in a HyperTalk script. Hypercard executes the X command or X function resource with the same name. For more information on X command and X function resources, contact APDA or visit the Stackware section of any of the major telecommunications networks. BIX, Byte Information Exchange, contains many interesting stacks and numerous technical documents in the Stackware area of the listings conference. In particular, file xcommandinfo.pit contains everything you need to know to program X commands and X functions in either C or Pascal. Sources at Apple have also indicated that the company will eventually make it possible for Mac software developers to develop non-stack applications that can read and write stacks. Alright, so let's read figure 5. This is linking a new button to a destination. Every button can call up a button info dialog box that allows you to modify the button's appearance and behavior. By clicking on the Link To button, then moving to the desired destination and clicking this card, you can cause the new button, which will be renamed To Do, to jump Hypercard to the destination when it is selected. Alright, so that next paragraph, titled Technical Details, just covers more of the secret algorithm Atkinson talks about. Performance, I spent several hours creating some very large stacks, 775k bytes to 2.78 megabytes, and manipulating them on a 2 megabyte Mac Plus with a data frame XP20 SCSI hard disk drive. Since I used the first shipping version of Hypercard version 1.0.1, I believe I can legitimately comment on its performance. Okay, so let's look at this picture. Sources of messages: mouse, menu, message box, system. And these are the receivers of those messages. So all scripts up here. It goes down resource fork of current stack, script of home stack, resource fork of home stack, and all the way down to Hypercard. So figure 6, inheritance hierarchy within Hypercard. This figure shows the order in which messages search for a message handler that they can satisfy. Shaded fields denote the resource forks of certain files where custom defined commands and functions may reside. So I got to keep reading from the article, and there's such cool ads here. This section titled Limitations. Hypercard will meet the needs of many people, but it is not the ultimate data manipulation program. That's a good description for what Hypercard is. Database management applications, for example, need not fear that Hypercard will make them obsolete. Hypercard knows only how to search for a single word or a character string. Another imperfection is that, unlike most Mac applications, Hypercard has modes. For example, when you are in button mode, using the button tool from the tools menu, you can't move fields or type text into them. He goes on to say he felt claustrophobic at times and wanting to see more than one card at a time, which would be easier if cards were displayed through Windows. So the final words on this: years ago, new automated dialing circuitry in the telephone system allowed the expansion of phone service past the limit imposed by the finite number of human operators. In effect, you become your own operator. Hypercard has a similar potential to allow the creation of a far larger number of useful programs than is possible from the work of a finite number of professional software developers. We will become our own programmers, and we will be able to create new programs and modify existing ones to our needs. And that is a great place to stop at. Thanks for watching.